Sinclair. Senator Batters.
Thank you. I first of all want to point out that as the Senate Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee commences its study of Bill C-45, the Trudeau government's signature marijuana legalization bill, we don't have one minister in front of us, and we don't even have any deputy ministers in front of us. So to the health officials, in this bill, and despite the advice of the Canadian Psychiatric Association and the Canadian Medical Association, the federal government has set the minimum age for access to marijuana at 18. So I would like you to find out for me as soon as possible and provide to this committee how many 18-year-olds attend high schools in Canada. Because with Bill C-45, this government will be effectively legally allowing marijuana to enter high schools. So if you could find that information out for me and provide it to the committee, yes? Thank you. Okay, also, Mr. Costin, in your opening statement, you said that Bill C-45 would, quote, prohibit advertising that would be appealing to young people, quote. Yesterday, your health department released what the image on your marijuana packaging would look like. Here it is. Everybody? So, when I saw that symbol, I immediately thought, that really looks like the Team Canada hockey logo. So I Googled it. And here are the first two images that came up in my search of Team Canada hockey. First of all, this from the 2017 World Cup of Hockey. And the second image I found, which I guess you could have just put instead of Canada here, cannabis. Now, when I look at these, they're the exact same colors. They look very, very similar. And I just wonder if you can explain to me, Mr. Costin, given all of that, when you see that imagery, and when we just had Team Canada's Olympic hockey team playing last month with the entire country cheering for them, how can you actually stick to what you said in that opening statement by saying that Bill C-45 would prohibit advertising that would be appealing to young people when you see your very imagery?
So maybe what I can do is talk a little bit about how we arrived at that image, about how we arrived at the THC symbol. And
Do you consider that not to be appealing to young people when you see what I just showed you?
Well, when we focus tested the image with young people, it was specifically with a view to understanding how children and young people would react when they see it. And so we focus tested a number of different colors, a number of different shapes, and a number of different images. And at the end, the focus testing results kind of led us to what we heard from very young kids, from adolescents, and from their parents, was that red is kind of a universal color of stop. An octagon is a stop sign, and especially young children or even adults or adolescents with low literacy interpreted that as a very clear sign of something that they shouldn't go near. The cannabis leaf and the words THC were thought to be, the parents reported to us that this presents an opportunity to have a conversation with their teenagers, that it presents to explain what THC is and what the product is. So the process that we followed was really informed by what we learned through the focus groups would be most effective in stopping kids from using something that they shouldn't use, and equally for adults.
Okay, I want to move on because I have something else to ask you about this. So this marijuana packaging image that you've developed is markedly different from, for example, what the Ontario Liberal government just came out with for their Ontario cannabis store. That was black and white, nondescript, 3 letters, but it somehow took them $650,000 to develop it. So with that in mind, that was just a recent news story. I'm wondering how much the Trudeau government spent to develop this logo and packaging. Who got the contract? Was it sole sourced or was it a competitive bid?
So I think that's probably information that I'd have to get back to you on. I don't have that off the top of my head.
As soon as possible, please. Okay. Do you know approximate dollar figure?
I do know approximately the dollar figure was about $60,000 for the focus groups. We did it in 3 cities across the country.
Who developed that logo? Did you hire an advertising agency?
Yeah, that's the detail. I don't have those off the details off the top of my head.
So the 60,000 was just focus groups. That wasn't anything to do with developing the logo and things like that.
The images were developed in-house.
Health Canada developed?
By Health Canada, yes.
Okay, I would like all the information on that, please. Thank you.
Merci, Senator Batters.